All right. Um, Today is Tuesday, April 14th. Right now, the time is 1:33, and we are calling to order Workforce Education Training, Youth Development Committee to order. Madam Clerk, can you call the roll? Here. Thank you, thank you. Through today, I know we have one, two, three, four, five, six, seven, eight. We have 9 pieces of legislation to get through today. Um, is the Director of Office of Sustainability here? We'll call up ordinance number 400 first. Ordinance number 400-2026 by Councilmember Starr and Griffin by departmental request authorizing the Director of Finance on behalf of the Office of Sustainability to apply for and accept one or more grants from various public and private entities to establish and operate a climate resilience pilot program for a period of up to 2 years. Director, may you introduce yourself to the committee and the viewing public?
Yes, sure. Good afternoon, Chair, thank you, and committee members. My name is Sarah O'Keefe. I'm the Director for Sustainability and Climate Justice, and I'm happy to present this legislation for your consideration today about the Cleveland Climate Resilience Corps. And if I may just have a couple comments and then go to questions. Okay. So just a little bit about this is an idea phase. We're asking for authorization for funding to apply and accept for funding for this idea and to make it a reality. This is the Cleveland Climate Resilience Corps. Basically, it's a 2-year pilot that will pay youth and seniors to work side by side as what we would call neighborhood climate stewards. The Corps will maintain green infrastructure, so maybe watering and mulching trees, for example, that have been recently planted on for another project. They will build workforce skills, create trust networks that matter when heat waves or storms hit. So that's the idea. This is a resilience corps. We had a tornado just a couple of weeks ago, right over Cleveland. Huge storms, lots of things happening. The community is always going to be on call, whether they are prepared or not. This program specifically seeks to prepare community members with recreation centers as the hub. This pilot in particular builds the case for integrating the Corps into Cleveland's 2028 budget planning cycle with the goal of a city fully funding by 2029. So this is a grant application initially, and then we have a plan in year 2 to figure out how this is working and how we can support it as a city. And I can talk a little bit more about what this will do. The timing of this pilot in particular is aligned with 2 major street greening investments already underway in a particular neighborhood, that is Huff. There's a complete in Green Street's East 66th Street project that breaks ground in 2026, and then a Wade Park Avenue project follows in the following year, I think 2027. And so these are good examples for this workforce development program that can put people to work right away and have immediate impact. So that is what we're asking for today, up to $250,000 to apply for grants from local philanthropy and any other programs that seem appropriate for this kind of project.
Okay, within this ordinance, I see some of the partners as far as departments. You have Park and Recreation, Public Safety, and Community Relations Board. What role do they play within this ordinance?
Yes, thank you for asking that. So we have been working with Parks and Rec and Public Safety to talk about this program in how do we have a climate resilience corps that has emergency response readiness. So for public safety, we've been working with emergency management. They would help train or contribute to the training of community members and community emergency response. Community emergency response teams are a kind of specific format that's used nationally, and actually Cuyahoga County has training through them as well. And then, so that's the public safety piece. Community Relations Board is always on call, as you know, when there's an emergency. So we talked to them about this idea, and Director Schutt-Woodson was very on board with that and coordinating with us and giving us feedback on the program outline. And then Director of Parks and Recreation, Alex Nichols, and I have talked about specifically what people would do in this corps that would support green spaces and green infrastructure so that it does not compete with current jobs, but builds a pipeline, a workforce pipeline. And she's very interested in that aspect.
And then with your saying that this is targeted neighborhoods, Huff and St. Clair, have you talked to Councilwoman Stephanie House Jones regarding this pilot initiative? Have you sat down and gave a deep brief of what is going on?
To the chair, no, I have not had the opportunity to the chair, and I just talked to Councilwoman House Jones right before this meeting, and I'm very willing to sit down and talk about it in detail.
And then from this standpoint, when was this actually introduced to, for a council meeting?
I believe it was introduced on March 23rd.
So, and how long have you been working on this from your department standpoint?
So it's been in the idea phase for a couple of months.
So one of the things I definitely want to just share with you, like this been baking for the last couple months, and it's something that has taken place in a part into a city neighborhood in Ward 8. And we haven't sat down to give the actual update with the programming of what is going on in the neighborhood in which another council person may be receiving calls about this. You're talking about living wage stipends, 20 participants, and at the end of the day, they're going to possibly ask this council person to help plan this, but they don't have been briefed on this, and it's now being brought before us. So I definitely am going to turn this over to members of this committee, and starting with my vice chair, Councilwoman Stephanie House Jones, to see exactly what we can actually do with ordinance number 400, 2026, since this is occurring in her ward.
Sure. Thank you, Mr. Chair. To the director, okay, so I have the one pager kind of outlining the program. This is something that's supposed to, it's going to be a 2-year project. The question is, have we received a grant?
No, through the chair, to the councilwoman, this is, the authorization we're seeking today is to get grant funding to implement a project, and it would not start until later this year. And so there is absolutely time for feedback, and we have not received a grant. We're in
So-
application phase, sorry.
Yeah, through the chair to the director, have you submitted a grant for this project?
Through the chair, yes, there has been one grant application, and we are looking for other grant application opportunities.
And through the chair to the director, can you provide a copy of that grant application? Who was it to? When we actually get a response? When's the timeline to get a response for the grant that was put in?
Through the chair, I believe the response will be in the next month or so, and yes, I can provide that. Absolutely.
Yes, I think that would be helpful. Generally, on the surface, a project like this or a program like this could be helpful and beneficial. It's a matter of understanding what is the actual communication plans. Is that outlined in the grant project, or is that something simple, something different, where you're going to put out this announcement for our Green Corps stewards, things of that nature? That was a question.
Oh, sorry. Could you repeat the question? I'm sorry, through the chair.
So as part of your application, did you include a communications plan? So how will people get to know about these opportunities potentially if the grant funding comes up? What does that look like, and what is your plan, the department's plan, to actually communicate to people?
Got it, yes. So we, through the chair, we have a very high-level communications plan with working with different groups. For example, Community Resource Board was one group that we wanted to work with, block clubs, and with council members as well to recruit. And the recruitment period would be in July. So working on that together and reaching out to design that recruitment in May, June, after we have the actual grant, was where our plan was.
Through the chair to the director, how many block clubs do we have in this target area?
Through the chair, I am not familiar with the number of block clubs we have in that area, but we have a former resident of Huff who is working on this grant application and the program design.
Through the chair, who is that?
That is our resilience specialist. His name is Jason Goodrick. Jason Goodrick, he's here if you would like to ask
No,
him.
thank you.
Okay.
All right. Yeah, please, through the chair, to the director, let me see the application, please.
Sure. Through the chair, absolutely, I
And,
can provide that.
We will, and you know what, the question I do have through the chair to the director, how was this area selected?
Because of, through the chair, so we looked at a number of different areas, and in particular, the areas, the timing of that pilot, so that Complete and Green Streets East 66th Street project, what we were looking for and talking to Parks and Rec about was what projects might there be where the skill training for a program like this that can be centered around a recreation center like Thurgood Marshall, what projects might there be that could use additional assistance that the city is supporting, where we could, for example, water and mulch trees. So a lot of times trees get planted and we have a 1 to 2 year, sometimes even a 3-year, I believe, warranty on them, but they don't get the attention they need. So looking at those kinds of projects and working with other stakeholders, that's the Huff project, Complete and Green Streets project, came up as something that's happening this year.
And through the chair to the director, who's going to be managing this project?
Through the chair, so the initial point person for the Mayor's Office of Sustainability would be our resilience specialist, that's Jason Goodrick, in coordination with all of the different leaders that Jason's been meeting with at Parks and Rec. That would be Commissioner Toy Porch, and then in urban forestry, that would be Commissioner Phil Jubert in designing the program. So the lead is Mayor's Office of Sustainability in coordination with those departments. And emergency management, which is Matt. Sorry, I'm not remembering.
And through
Renicky.
the chair to the director, I know, so thus far you have talked to internal partners and no external partners regarding this?
Through the chair, we've talked very high level to external partners about the idea phase. So for example, this is based a little bit on different iterations of green teams, but with that CERT, that community emergency response component is something we haven't done before. And so this is a little bit modeled on something like a green team. A few years ago, Slavic Village had climate ambassadors that were supported through the Mayor's Office of Sustainability. So that's where we took some of the initial design for this program. We have not talked very in-depth because we wanted to say that we had some funding initially before we were able to get into greater detail.
Through the chair to the director, what was the amount of the grant contract that you submitted?
Up to through the chair, $250,000.
And through the chair to the director, who was it sent to?
Through the chair, I can provide that information offline if that's all right.
But the legislation is in front of us. Okay.
Yes, we're seeking it.
We're going to definitely have a conversation through the chair
Yes,
to the
ma'am.
director. We absolutely are going to have a conversation offline about this.
Through the chair, thank you.
And through the standpoint of this ordinance number 400, 2026, is there a time of an essence or a sense of urgency on getting this completed, or do we have time
So through the
from a
chair.
grant standpoint?
Yes, through the chair, we are seeking to have some immediate impact in 2026 that aligns with a couple of the efforts that I already talked about, the Complete and Green Streets project launching later this year, or it might be even launching now, where there would be a project where this Corps could immediately dig in and be a part of that, and that's a major project. So in terms of that, we would want to align with that timing. And for the particular grant that I'm talking about that I will share the application of with Councilwoman House Jones and committee members, that grant would deploy middle of this year, so as early as June.
All right.
Yes.
Just from hearing some of the conversations from the councilwoman who has not yet to really fully vet this actual ordinance in our neighborhood, I know we do have a couple different meetings. I think we have one workforce committee another committee this month, and 2 in May. I definitely would like for you to sit and get with Councilwoman Stephanie House Jones in her office to properly vet this ordinance. A lot of this stuff is taking place in her board, and I believe she should be on board with a lot of different things. So I would like to hold this piece and allow you to be able to work with the councilwoman. Once you talk to her, she will let me know when it's ready, and I'll let you know from our staff when we can schedule for ordinance number 400, 2026 to come back to committee to be able to be vetted again. So please get with Councilwoman offline so we can be able, so you and her can discuss, and we can be able to get back to this at our possible next committee meeting.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Next, we have the Mayor Office of Prevention, Intervention, and Opportunity come to the table. Just for the viewing public as well as my colleagues, I believe the next few ordinances is out of this office. They do have piece of legislation that's out of this office. We do have a presentation, so how we're going to do to be able to vet everything, we're going to allow the Office of Prevention, Intervention, and Opportunity to do their presentation. They may touch on different parts of each legislation, and then we will go through that part of the meeting. If you have any question or want to be put down for anything, just write it down, and then after they present, we will definitely go through each legislation for us to be able to discuss. Please, Interim Director, can you introduce yourself to the committee as well as your team for the viewing public as well?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. I'm Sherry Ellery, Interim Director of the Office of Prevention, Intervention, and Opportunity. And with me today, I have Samantha Holmes, who is the Senior Manager in that department, and Michael Cook, who is our Program Project Coordinator. And then also with me today, I have two guests, Anthony Spooner from Beat the Streets, and Angela Flowers.
Your mic.
Start over.
Yeah, gotta hit the green button, hit where it says push. There you go. You
I
gotta
feel
start
like I'm
over
at
for
a
the
city
viewing
council
public.
meeting.
Okay, now.
Okay, good afternoon. My name is Sherry Ellery. I am the Interim Director for the Mayor's Office of Prevention, Intervention, and Opportunity. And with me today, I have Samantha Holmes, who is the Senior Program Manager in that department, and Michael Cook, who is our Project Coordinator. And then also with me today, I have two guests, Anthony Spooner from Beat the Streets and Angela Flowers, who is the CEO and co-founder of Making a Difference. And these are two of our programs that we'll be discussing today. Since 2018, the Mayor's Office of Prevention, Intervention, and Opportunity has worked closely with the Recreation Division of Parks and Rec to provide out-of-school time programming that goes beyond what was the traditional programming in our neighborhood resource and recreation centers, and as well as programming for Cleveland youth that is provided in other community spaces such as Karamu House. Today, we are requesting legislative authority to contract with 8 programs, 2 of which are new providers, new program providers. As you can see here, we're requesting approval for 8 programs totaling $895,165. We have provided you with a copy of the request for proposals, which was released in October. This slide tells you a little bit about the purpose and the background for our programming. Proposals were due in November, and they were submitted under one or more of the categories. You see the 4 evaluation criteria categories listed above, or listed on the slide. Proposals were submitted under one or more of those categories, and we received 79 proposals totaling a little over $15 million. The evaluation process is also included here. And for the first time, we included youth in our, on our committees to evaluate the proposals. A lot goes into the decision-making process. It's not just straight highest score. We look at center and neighborhood needs, coordination and costs. As we look at the proposal, there are times when we'll go back to the program provider and ask for a revision because maybe we want to, maybe the provider recommended doing the program in 8 recreation centers, but we only want to do it in 2 because of funding cases. We make these adjustments in order to fit our budget. To give you better context, this slide shows not only the 8 contracts that are over $50,000, including renewal years, but also our contracts that were either renewed from previous legislation or are under $50,000. Our total budget for expanded programs, for the expanded programs piece, is approximately $1.5 million. You'll see in the programs that are listed in white are all of the programs that we're talking about here today. The ones in the gray on the right-hand side are the 4 summer programs that are $25,000 each, the arts programs that we do every year. And then the rest, if you go down to Caramoo House, that's a renewal from previous legislation, 558-2025. And then the Marketing Academy was previous legislation 559-2025 for Rhonda Crowder. And then you see Esports Scholar is 146. That will be a new contract in November. They currently have a contract that runs through November. The rest of those are under $50,000. So starting with our first program, this is Ordinance 354-2026. This is for After School All-Stars. After School All-Stars has been with us since the inception of this program. This has been a very successful program. We're contracting with them for $240,167. They will be year-round at 2 different sites. One of the sites is Fairfax, and the other one for summer is Zelma George. And as you know, I did send you, in addition to the presentation, I sent you a description of how the programs are selected by the recreation centers. And so after the summer program, we will allow other recreation centers to say whether they want to do this program. And then we make a decision hand in hand with Recreation, Commissioner Gisson-Tanner, and Director Alex Nichols. So this program is a very comprehensive program. They take the kids on field trips. In fact, they're planning a trip to Columbus for this summer as well. And because this is a program that we had last year, we've put the attendance figures on the screen for you as well. The next program is Ordinance 355-2026. This is Art House, a cultural exploration through art for $56,608. This is a year-round program that will be offered at 2 sites. And they really do art projects that are geared to specific cultural events that are going on. So they have 15 sites, or 15 seats per site, and this is geared towards youth ages 6 to 12. But really, they offer intergenerational family art as well. So they welcome if children from 6 to 12 want to come in and they want to bring their parents or siblings, they welcome that.
So before you, 1 second, Councilman Joe Jones. So what they're going to do is go through this presentation.
Point of information, that's all, it's quick.
Yep. But also, I want to make sure you understand it. So they have this presentation, and they have each ordinance included in the presentation, and then we're going to dive deep. But if you got a point, I got you.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Do we have a brochure or booklet that breaks down where these activities are so that our citizens can also participate into these programs too?
Yes, this is publicized in the booklet that Parks and Recreation puts out every season. So each season, all the programs are listed in that booklet, and then also they are on Civic Rec. The recreation's software system.
If you can make that available to me for what we're talking about here this day, would be appreciative, Mr. Chairman.
Got you.
Okay, back through the chair.
Yep.
Okay. The next ordinance is 356. This is Beat the Streets. This is $60,800. We did work with Beat the Streets once before during the pandemic, so they're coming back to us. They will be serving youth ages 12 to 18, and there are 25 seats per site, and they're planning to do 2 sites in our recreation centers. This is, they provide wrestling instruction and provide a roadmap for emotional regulation through mentorship, social emotional learning, and you'll see a social emotional learning thread through almost all of the programs that we're presenting today. And this program we're anticipating will be at Stella Walsh and at Glenville. Ordinance 357-2026 is our Center for Arts Inspired Learning, Inspiration Through Music for $151,000. This is a program that we have had for many, many years. I believe it might have been almost since the inception of this program. They are at 3 sites, Cadell, Collinwood, and Studio 105 in the Glenville area. This is 4 days a week for 1 hour a day, and there are 15 seats per site per day. So one day they may be teaching percussion, one day violin, one day guitar. So the musical instruments over the 4 days changes so that a youth may come for all 4, or they may just come for 1 or 2. They also, we also fund them through that $100,000 of arts programming, the $25,000 per program. We also fund them for a summer camp. So that's a separate contract, but that's also with Center for Arts Inspired Learning. Ordinance 358-2026 is Cleveland Botanical Gardens, our Healthy Trees, Healthy Communities program for $47,590. This program is offered during the summer and in the fall, 1 day a week for 2 hours a day. And it's programming that strengthens youth development through hands-on environmental learning, community gardening, and leadership skill building. This program has been at CFA, Kovacic, and Estabrook, and we plan for it to be this summer at CFA and Kovacic. And you'll see summer 2025, we had 141 youth participate, and in the fall, we had 89. The next program is our Ordinance 360-2026, the Kent State University Making Our Own Space. You may be familiar with this program. We've run it for a number of years. This program, students gather and look at the environment of their rec center, and they determine what is needed here, what would really enhance this particular rec center. So for example, at Alexander Hamilton, they built a swing, they painted the bollards around they determined that you really couldn't tell when you drove down Kinsman that the rec center was there. So they painted the bollards around it a bright yellow color. They've been at Glenville a number of years. They've built a bus stop covering and some benches and some flower pots. It's really enhancing the look of the recreation centers. This is a stipend-based program. Students can earn up to $100 a week. We anticipate this being at 3 sites, at 2 sites during the summer and 1 site in the fall. So Alexander Hamilton and Clark, which Clark, we're keeping our fingers crossed, is opening for the summer. we hope. And in the fall, it'll be at Michael's Own. The next slide is 361, 2026. This is Making a Difference, and this is overall well-being is the category for $100,000. This is a summer program, and the students will be rotating through 7 program opportunities focused on overall well-being and college and career readiness. This is for 11 to 17-year-olds. The number of seats is 25 per site. They are also getting exposure to health and technical industries such as barbering, recording arts, music production, entrepreneurism, financial literacy, and then, of course, there is an SEL thread throughout the program. The next program is Rainey Institute. This one is an off-site program. This is $130,000, and Rainey has 2 sites, one on the east side and one on the west side. One on the east side is in the Huff neighborhood, and the one in the west side is in the Clark-Fulton neighborhood. So we have 25 seats for each one of these sites, and it's a year-round program. The weekday afternoons during the school year, students receive a meal. They support and mentorship, discipline, and specific training from professional teaching artists in their area of choice: music, dance, drama, or visual arts. We support this program in the summer with the $25,000 that the City Council designates for this. And last summer, they had 223 Cleveland youth participate in their programming. So that completes our 8 programs that we're requesting legislative authority for. And so we are open to any questions you may have regarding this.
All right, before we get into ordinance number 354, just overall from your presentation, I did take some notes before the meeting regarding 8 total primary programs. The total amount of investment is around $895,000, $165. And then you got the main areas of focus are out-of-school time programming, youth development and violence prevention, workforce and career readiness, and social emotional learning. Now, through that RFP process, it was showing that approximately about 79 proposals were submitted,
Yes,
and those requested was around close to about $15 million.
that is correct. To the
with-
chair.
And within that process of people submitting those proposals, did we have like a range that we requested for them to stay within as far as submitted, or did they think that we had a limited cash?
To the chair, no, we did not give them a specific range.
Okay.
We just asked them to present what they wanted, what they had the capacity to do. And then when we got the responses back, if it rated high and we wanted to revise what they had proposed, then we would enter into conversations with them and say, oh, well, you submitted a proposal for 8 sites, and now we only want you to do 2. And so we would work with them on that.
All right, and then you also included a 17-person evaluation team, and I know you mentioned you included youth participation. What did the evaluation team make up? How diverse was the evaluation team as well as the youth? And where are folks, from, born and raised, people from the rec centers, communities? How was that team formulated or assembled?
So the team was formulated from our social support service specialists who work in the recreation centers and are familiar with the children and that are in those centers. And of course, our social support service specialists are a very diverse group. Also members of the City Hall. So other departments who are engaged with youth. And then our Youth Congress youth participated in the evaluation as well. So each proposal was scored by 4 members of the evaluation team.
Was any center recreation managers a part of the evaluation team?
This year, for the first time, they were not. Usually, we do have recreation center managers involved in the evaluation, but this year it was decided to use the specialists, and they have conversations with the managers regarding what they feel are important programming.
What about any center staff? So other than the social support specialist out of your office, who from the recreation department was involved?
So after the proposals were scored, I sat down with Director Nichols, and we went through all of the top scoring proposals and made decisions based on her input.
And the reason why I just bring that up because when I put on my athletic or my center manager hat on, as a leader of a rec center or a leader of a center, one of the biggest things that frustrated me is when people were bringing programs into a facility that I was managing, and I was not able to vet it. And it may be something that sounds good on paper, but it's hard for me to be able to get behind something. And one of the biggest challenges is a lot of these programs are taking place inside of our neighborhood resource recreational centers. And I'm trying to get an understanding of how the partnership works with your office as well as the Department of Parks and Recreation when it relates to how we are expanding programs and services inside of a facility. And like I said, if me, that's just me just saying it from my standpoint, no, I'm not always right, I'm wrong half the time. But within the context of that, and when it comes to these youth, when it comes to these recreation centers, if the managers as well as potential staff is not involved, how can we ensure that participation is going to exist if their staff is not encouraging or participating with the program? Because you could possibly show up and you may have one day 15 kids, and then actually, you know, if the staff person haven't bought into it, those kids might not come back to the services next week.
Correct.
So if they're not fully in grasp, whether it's from the commissioner, whether it's from the director, whether it's down to the center manager saying, hey, this is something that we all want. Hey, this is how you help us retain these youth. Then we're going to be having program, but possibly not actual deliverables because people may sign in and just leave out. And that's what I'm just wanting to make sure within your evaluation team, if you possibly can really look into that, ensuring that the center managers as well as possible center staff person who may be actually the chaperone or the lead person on recruiting the kids for this program to be involved in this, I think it would really help because, you know, we can expand access to these different opportunities, but we need to make sure that we are able to measure the outcomes and also how do we tie that into whether it's education, whether it's workforce, or whether it's public safety. How do we actually are measuring these programs? Do you have any ways or things you could talk to on how we are measuring these programs when it comes to the amount of close to $900,000 that we're putting into our neighborhood resource recreation centers through the
Yes, to the chair. Yes, I want to point out that this was the first year that recreation center managers were not included and rec staff were not included in the review teams, and we are going back next year to including them in the process. I do want to toss your question to Michael regarding the outcomes, and because Michael is really the one who's gathering all the data and looking at the outcomes for our programming.
No problem.
Thank you. So yeah, we
Put
a
it
little
up.
closer. All right. Can you hear me now? As part of this work, we are collecting, every week, we collect attendance from all the.
Make sure you're speaking to that mic. So I can hear you at home.
We collect attendance from all the partners, and I do weekly checks on that to make sure it's being inputted correctly. We also, before the season, ask them to submit whatever participant assessment tool that they use for review. A lot of them use kind of national standard models, some that you and I are familiar with from, previous work. So, and then at the end of the season, they share that assessment data with us that they've taken. And then I also, at the end of every season, kind of create from all the data they've given us some kind of bigger attendance work on how many hours of programming we provided, how many participants unique, how many of them are going to at least half of the sessions, because we want repeat. We want, the impact grows the more times youth participate or people participate in a program. So.
Thank you. And then one more question I definitely will ask. I see this Super Soccer Stars. Obviously, it was a program that was under 50,000. It was selected through the department. How did we get to this organization, Super Soccer Stars? Because when I hear soccer, I know American Scorers. That's been someone I've partnered with, and so I've seen a new organization, which I never have no problem with, but I just wanted to see what is this program. And I think it's been here already, so it's being renewed. What is that program and where it takes place at?
Through the chair, this program is a new program for us. It is for really the younger children, primary school, preschool students. And this is at Halloran?
No, it's at Estabrook and Stella Walsh.
Estabrook and Stella Walsh.
And then, so this is their first year?
This is our first year, so, and Michael works very closely with the program providers. He holds a meeting at the beginning of every season to kind of go over with them their outcomes and how we take attendance and recruitment processes and procedures. So he meets with them and really covers a lot of information with them so that they are providing solid programs. And he goes in and visits the classes to make sure that they're delivering high quality instruction.
And they started, when did they start?
This was the spring, March 16th.
Oh, they just started.
Yes.
Oh, definitely.
Chair.
In Estabrook, and you said Stella Walsh? Definitely, I want to take a look at it because I am a big American Scorers guy. I did a lot of work with them. Also, for the record, we do have a mini soccer pitch field that's opening up at Lonnie Burton. I definitely met with American Scorers a couple weeks ago, and I asked them to send me a proposal because nothing is implemented for that mini soccer pitch field, and I definitely want to get some soccer programming over at that Lonnie Burton, so I definitely will get with you and our director to see, and possibly Mr. Cook to see what we can actually do.
And Mr. Chair, I want to also point, as Samantha just pointed out to me, this also includes parental involvement in the summer soccer program. So it's parents and their little ones.
All right, so it's a little bit different.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it's
Little
those
different.
younger children.
Yes.
I hear what you're saying. 1 and 2 year-olds. Oh, that's good. Other than that, I definitely will get started with the first ordinance. Just for the committee members, we're going to go through each ordinance. If you have any questions or want to get on, just let me know. But we definitely will start with ordinance number 354, 2026 by Councilmember Griffin by departmental request, an emergency ordinance authorizing the Director of Finance on behalf of the Mayor Office of Prevention, Intervention, and Opportunity to enter into one or more contract with After School All-Stars for the purpose of providing after-school youth enrichment activities under the city's out-of-school time programs for a period of 1 year with 2 one-year options to renew, exercisable by the Director of Finance. And that one is the Afternoon All-Star program. We did see that on the presentation right there. And just all from a standpoint, you have year-round programs, right? This program is taking place at 2 locations.
Yes.
And what are the 2 sites?
To the chair, Fairfax and Zelma George this summer. And then in the fall, we will assess where the second site will be. It could be back to Zelma George, it could be another recreation center.
And now don't you take nothing from Zelma George. Now, Councilwoman Gray down there, don't you dare. Don't you dare. I see her. But then also
She's
with
giving me the eye.
Okay. Look, I filtered now. But I also see that you said you served grades 1st to 12th?
Yes, they separate them by grades, that if they have a small group. Usually, it's the kids who actually attend are up to grade 8. They very rarely have the high school kids there, but when they do, they have special projects for them.
All right, and then, and it's focused on academics, workforce readiness, leadership, wellness, and then you have strong participation history, about 300? No? What is that?
To the chair, in the winter, we had 103. In the spring, 83. Last summer, 108 participants, and in the fall, we had 53.
And there's no way to determine if those are the same kids or the same people, or are these different? How do we determine these numbers? How frequent, or how is it broken down?
To the chair, these are unduplicated youth. It's not total attendance. So these are different youth for each of those seasons. There may be some overlap from season to season. That's a little bit harder, just given the data that we get we could figure it out, but it would take us a little while.
So you're close to that number, okay. And then,
And to the chair, I will add that with this program, a lot of times the kids will come, this is a 3-hour-a-day program, so a lot of times the kids will come right after school, and they'll be there for an hour, hour and a half, and then their parents come and pick them up, or they go home. And then there are other kids who, after school, they have another program that they participate in after school, and then they come to the rec center later and join. So that 25 is a rolling 25.
only 25. And then I'll just add one question to Mr. Cook. From your standpoint, what measurable improvements in literacy, attendance, or behavior are tied directly to this program for ordinance number 354, 2026?
To the chair, for this specific, I think Fairfax especially has been a real bright spot for their program. They have the school right across the street, which is helpful, but the kids I've actually been there and seen Miss Brittany, who teaches there, is great with the kids and is able to kind of, especially from a social emotional perspective, able to get them back on track when there are any sort of behavioral issues. And she does yoga with them and dancing with them, and she's every 15, 20 minutes they're doing a new thing. So yeah, they're in the classic kind of OST model of bringing the kids, teaching them something new every day, but also really teaching them how to emotionally regulate and deal with kind of adversity as they're learning.
All right, I have no other question. I'll open up to the committee. And I will go to my vice chair, Councilwoman Stephanie House Jones.
To the chair, to the team here, how long is a season?
A season is usually 10 weeks.
Okay.
Sometimes in the summer, it's only 8 weeks, depending on when school lets out and when school starts back up.
I would really like to look at, and this is just overall, right? We have these numbers of like participants, and I really would like to know like the disaggregated information, specifically looking at the ages. How many times are they actually going to a program? And where like zip codes people are going to then receive a program. I just think we need to think more comprehensively about our programming. And let me ask this question through the chair to the team here. How has the evaluation of programs, whether renewal and new programs, how does that tie into gaps in service based on the need here in the city of Cleveland? Or does it? And how so?
Through the chair to the councilwoman, I think that as we look at all of the different programs that are offered in a recreation center, those conversations that Michael and Samantha and I have with the managers kind of identify those gaps that they may be seeing in terms of, for example, at Lonnie Burton one year, the clerk there brought to our attention that they had a lot of young people who were really struggling with learning to read. And so we put a couple of programs in that particular rec center because we identified that gap. So we're having conversations with the rec centers and the managers, but some of these programs really are more broad-based in terms of teaching kids those self-regulating processes and the social emotional. Play is really teaching kids how to cooperate with one another, how to work as a team, how to share, those kinds of things that are difficult to measure on a scale, but are so valuable in the growth of a child.
Yeah, through the chair to the team here, I really would be interested, because for some, in this one in particular, I really would like to see like the disaggregated data for this program in particular, because I'm looking at these numbers. Something, you know what I'm saying? Something about these numbers, for me, again, I'm like, okay, it's a difference if it's the same kids that are coming back, but then you say it's sporadic people coming in and out, and the investment that we are making, I just don't know. You know what I'm saying? And I'm not familiar, and I just know there are other programs. When I look at programs like Fatima Family Center, and I'm just going to say explicitly, many of these programs, they not doing a fraction of what Fatima Family Center is doing, and I'm gonna just be honest. So, and the amount of money that we are paying for it, when you think about the quality in comparison, it's just like, well, how do we get to this point? And then there are like really great organizations who are doing things that have no connection to the city whatsoever, and we are not getting the quality and then some of it. That's what, so I really would like to see more of like the comparison of like the real, and maybe I'm not seeing something, but I'm just like, I'm doing the math and I'm like,
I think through the chair to the councilwoman, I would like to meet with you and pick your brain in terms of, we are looking at how do we expand our data collection and what we're looking at, the numbers that we're looking at. We're concerned with the quality of the program, and so I'd be thrilled to sit down and talk to you about
and I think just beyond that,
what you're seeing.
Through the chair to the team here, do we have like, outside of the programs that we utilize, are we looking at an analysis of like some of the top high performing youth programs here in the city of Cleveland? Do we have like a list like that? Does the city of Cleveland have that list?
We have been working with Starting Point, and I'll turn this over to Samantha to talk a little bit about the work that Starting Point has done around out-of-school time programming.
Come on, senior manager.
Through the chair to the councilwoman, yes, we started last summer really in an intentional partnership with Starting Point as they developed their out-of-school time department. They are now a part of the Ohio After-School Network and the lead there. And so we meet with them about once a month to really talk through who their list of out-of-school time providers are, understanding what they're looking at from program quality and assessment, also with background checks. And so they are helping us to flush kind of what our list is and having a benchmark of compare and contrast based off of how they're vetting. And that will also help inform us when we think about future RFPs, like who's even on that list, right? You know, because a lot of times we have a list and it's like, is it comprehensive? Are we making sure that we're kind of really diving into who's out there in the community now, understanding that, you know, there have been some ebbs and flows based off of funding that has come into our community. Some organizations are no longer there, and there are also some great organizations that have come up. And so that is kind of where we are with the development. Their out-of-school time locator, based off of our last meeting, had over, I think, 100 organizations already that have gone through their vetting process. And so that's kind of where we are. And the nice thing about their locator as well is you can do it by particular area, ward. You can also look at what type of services you're looking for. So if you're looking for summer, so they have actually been, you know, a great thought partner and how we can even better utilize that and promote that beyond just like printed materials and what we have on the city site as well.
Yeah, through the chair, to the team here, I can get like real, like I really think, and again, because it's not this. One of the things that I know I hear, and I'm not sure of my other colleagues, is we consistently get the message everywhere I go in a community meeting. One of the top things that always rises up, there's nothing for our young people to do. Across the board. And I'm gonna just say it. Depending on what neighborhood resource and recreation center that you go into, they're telling the truth. Because just because you have a program don't mean, like as the councilman was saying, does not necessarily mean you have the person who provider who is giving the best and quality thing that will attract young people, because this is a people-based thing. It's not just doing the program. If you don't have a good person doing the program, you're not going to get the attendance. And you can see it very clearly. I don't have to be that sharp to understand if it's a good program or not. Families know where a good program is because the kids will let you know it's a great program, right? And it's just, there's just something that's off. And like I said, because I haven't really like dug into this probably the way I need to, because there's always stuff going on. I really do think that just separately from committee meetings, we should actually have a real, like some sessions to look at this thing comprehensively, where it is, where it isn't, how people signing up, how they not. Civic Rec, I do not like it. I'm gonna just tell y'all that Civic Rec, it is too complicated. How long is it, through the chair, how long is the contract for Civic Rec?
I believe it was 3 years. It was 1 year with two options to renew, but
And
I'd
so
have to go
can you
check with.
Can you provide through the chair to the director? Can you absolutely provide, like, when is even the renewal? Like, we need to. It is. Have y'all all like registered people on Civic Rec? Do people
Yeah.
register by themselves on Civic Rec through the chair to the team?
To the chair, to the councilwoman, through the chair. I have my concerns.
This is not y'all. That's not even y'all.
No, it's not, but I have my
I'm
concerns
sorry.
about it.
That's through the Civic Rec is
It's the
through
Parks and Recreation.
is Parks and Rec. So I'm gonna scratch that from. It
So-
don't matter. But no, but because this is how. But I'm just for clarification through the director to the chair. Families are required to go through Civic Rec to register to even get into the program. Correct or no?
Through the chair to the councilwoman, that is correct, but they will register you at the desk, at the front desk, if a child comes in and says they want to register for a particular program.
Okay, we should
I-
talk about that. I'm
and-
just saying, and the reason why I even know through the chair, and this is my last question, because I tried to do a pottery class.
Oh.
And if I didn't try to do a pottery class and had the experience myself, I wouldn't have known what residents have to go through trying to register for a program, for a season. Like, it was very enlightening, and it should not be that challenging to register for a program. We should do something more person-centered, people-centered, if we wanted, so I'll stop and I probably.
Yes.
Through
and I-
through the chair, to the councilwoman, you have some very valid concerns, and I know that the director is really looking at that program.
And through that standpoint, just for our staff, if you could make a note for us to possibly Workforce Education Training Youth Development Committee, work with municipal services so we could dive deep into recreation. We possibly could schedule a hearing together where Mayor Office of Prevention, Intervention, and Opportunity, as well as municipal service can possibly collaborate on a hearing just to get to understanding more about Civic Rec and just how they work together in line. I definitely will talk to Chairman Kevin Bishop about that so we can possibly follow up and see what we can do to understand some of the concerns that Councilwoman House Jones brought up about Civic Rec and just signing up for programs and also getting the understanding of what is going on inside of our rec centers because it all ties into together, and partnership and collaboration is how we can get those answers that we need or make the changes that we should do. I did have Councilman Joe Jones next, but he stepped out. Councilman Shaw.
Thank you to the chair and thank you to the team for your time this afternoon. My apologies for the delay. I was on neighborhood call. This is my first time going through this process. I wanted to just understand what do the activities actually look like that the students are doing. It's the academic achievement to workforce readiness and the training, that's a pretty broad range. So I just wanted to understand, what are the students actually doing?
So through the chair to Councilman, this is one of our more comprehensive programs. So they do a variety of things. They have homework tables at the very beginning where they help the kids go through their homework. Then they may have physical activities, like they may play games or go down to the gym and play basketball, or they may do art projects. They go on field trips. This particular group is actually taking a group down to Columbus to the State House this summer to tour the State House. So they do a variety. It looks differently every day with this particular group.
Okay. And I appreciate that background. I guess, for example, what does workforce readiness and training, what would an activity of that look like? What's an example to the director through the chair?
So they may explore a particular, I can't think of an example right off the top of my head, but they may take a career pathway and talk about it in their group settings. They may do a field trip to someplace that is has a workforce development program, those kinds of things.
Okay. And then I'm trying to understand what the program actually looks like, so bear with me. I know some of these are probably more basic than you're getting from my colleagues. It help me understand. And I would love to also actually come and do a tour or a drop-in to one of these sites when there's actually classes going on. That would help me understand. And I guess so you mentioned that these are kind of like drop-in hours. It sounds like where students may come in and they get picked up earlier by their parents. They can come in later. Is that correct? Is my understanding correct?
Through the chair, yes. This particular program is a 3-hour program. So a lot of the kids, for example, Fairfax, there's a school right across the street. So when school lets out, a lot of the kids come over and participate in After School All-Stars. Now, they may not stay the whole 3 hours. They may have, something else that their parents want them to do, or maybe their parents want them home at 5 o'clock. Some of them do stay for the whole 3 hours, and that's encouraged. But some of them, depending on the family circumstances. And then some students may have an after-school activity that they're participating in. Maybe they're on the school's basketball team and they don't get out for another hour, so they come an hour later to the program. But basically, the kids come into the Fairfax or whatever rec center, and they have the leaders of this program, and they help them with their homework, make sure that they're getting everything done, talking to them. They're mentoring them. They're talking to them about situations that may have occurred in school. Because there is that social emotional learning kind of thread that goes through all of these programs. Then they'll do some physical activities, some arts activities. It just depends on that day's, what the curriculum is for that day.
And how many mentors or instructors do they have at each site?
Usually they have 2, but it's 30 to 1 is the contracted ratio.
Okay, so if each site only has 25 seats,
Right.
they're still maintaining 2 at
Yeah.
each location?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes. And we, through the chair to the councilman, we welcome you to come and visit. And we will make sure that you get a copy of the Parks and Rec catalog with all of the programs and the times that they're offered.
Yes, I think we did get one in the mail, if I remember correct, but
Okay.
I'll definitely reach out. So what happens when the 25 seats are filled, or does it ever get to capacity? So, kind of wanted to understand: do we turn students away? What's happening there?
Our policy is to develop waiting lists. If a class is full, then we develop waiting lists.
Can you walk me through that process a little more? So, in the, kind of how you explained. So, if students are coming there after school, and if the first 25 students that come that day, it's full.
So
there's
at the
like a waiting
beginning
li-
of the beginning of the season, they register
Okay.
for the class.
the parents do or the students?
The parents register them through Civic Rec, but
Okay.
a lot of times they'll come in, there'll be walk-in registrations at the site.
At the
And
beginning
so-
of each season.
At the beginning of each season. And so they have a roster of who their youth are that they're working with for that particular season.
And how many do they
And-
allow to register?
Well, 25 is the maximum, as you pointed out from the slides, 25 per site. But if a child says, I'm only going to come from 3 to 4,
Sure.
and then someone else comes in and says they're going to come from 4 to 5, then they manage that.
I understand. And so then on like any given day, say for example, 25 students are already there and more students roll up, what happens?
So we have a policy through the chair to the councilman. We do have a policy of trying not to turn away any students. So if students would come in and they're a couple over the 25, we would welcome them into the program. After School All-Stars I don't believe that they would turn away any youth. But again, they're in the rec center. If they're walk-ins that aren't registered for that particular program, there may be other programs being offered in the rec center that they would participate in.
Okay. That's helpful, and I'm glad to hear that. I'm not suggesting that we're not serving students, and that's like I said. So if the number of students, first season is 103 at any given point, at what capacity are these classes? I'm trying to understand if there should be a program that should be expanded to maybe more areas, or like what does that actually look like in terms of the usage and how full the classes are?
Through the chair to the councilman, on the numbers 103, we were running 4 sites at that time.
I see.
So this isn't necessarily just one site. It depends on how many sites we were offering that season.
And
So
this next
for the
year-
winter of 2025, we were offered at 4 different sites, and that's how we came up with that number. And these are unique kids. So
And for the 2026 year, then we're planning on only doing this at 2 sites?
at only at 2 sites, yes.
Why are we going down?
Financial reasons, through the chair to the councilman. There's only so much money that we have, and we had to make decisions regarding programming.
Okay. I didn't realize that, I guess. Maybe I missed that during the budget sessions. I didn't realize we cut the amount of funding for MPIO. I thought we were at the same level. Is that
Well,
not
we
accurate?
have some other programs that we're offering this season. So we have 2 for After School All-Stars, but we're offering some other programming as well across the city.
Okay. And I'm presuming, I know we have some other stuff, so we're going to get into more of
Yes.
those details?
Yes.
I appreciate that. I'll reserve then. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman. And within that standpoint, that means you just reallocated funds to a different program instead of maximizing the additional dollars that you possibly have for after-school All-Stars? Or
We
just
have,
clarification?
to the chair, we have 1.5 million approximately for expanded programs. We have 2 million that we used for youth employment, and then we have some other, like Myrna's Taylor, that we fund as well out of our contracted services line.
Thank you, thank you. I would like to call on Councilman Joe Jones, then Councilwoman Gray after Councilman Joe Jones.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just want to make sure we're at the 354-2026 after-school All-Stars.
Correct.
And Mr. Chairman, for 2026, because I see 2025, you have like the winter, spring, summer, and fall. Will that be the same way again this season?
So for ordinance number 354, will you still have this program being offered potentially as fast winter, spring, summer, fall for 2026?
Through the chair, that is correct.
Would those numbers be the same as it is here, or do we have an idea if the numbers are going to be more?
Through the chair to Councilman Jones, we're offering this program at 2 sites, so we're expecting 50 participants each season.
Okay, so it'd be a little bit lower.
Yes, that is correct.
I see. And Councilmember Shaw had asked a number of questions previously that covered some of my questions. But I also want to, Mr. Chairman, to Mrs. Euler, I hope I'm pronouncing that right.
Ellery, thank you.
Ellery?
To the chair.
Thank you. So I don't want to be saying the wrong word. Thank you. So that's quite easy, Ellery, Miss Ellery. So the question that I want to ask here, and I asked this in years past. Now, this program previously were we using ARPA funds for these programs previously that we're looking at right now in the past?
Through the chair to Councilman Jones, no. We have always only used general funds
for this
expanded programs.
And that total package is at the end where it's like, I want to say, you have a summary. I presume this is the summary package of all your programs added together. What would that total be? Is it the end of the package? I saw a figure there.
The 8 programs that we're bringing to you today come to a total of $895,165 through the chair.
Okay. And so, Mr. Chairman, I want to turn to page 4, and I don't know if that's a part of, would this be, because it says 79 proposals received. Okay, don't worry about that. Take that back. We ain't going to even worry about that. Because now I see I'm answering my question by reading it. So what I would request, Mr. Chairman, is what would be very helpful for me is to have a request of information showing the description of the programs like we have it outlaid here in this program as it is now. I'd like to know what site locations these programs are offered and what communities they cover. That is important. I've asked, Mr. Chairman, when Sonia Pryor-Jones was here, I asked the question, and I presume, Mr. Chairman, to Mrs. Ellery, you're taking over the responsibility of Mrs. Pryor-Sonia Jones?
Through the chair to Councilman Jones, I am the interim director for the Mayor's Office of Prevention, Intervention, and Opportunity. So for
So you're
this
taking
particular
over
program,
you're taking over for Pryor-Sonia Jones?
So, just for
I hope I'm
context.
saying that right.
No, for context, Chief Pryor Jones had additional responsibilities more than just mayor prevention, or mayor office of prevention, intervention, opportunity. So she's taking over some of the role, but she's not taking over for Chief
You're not
Pryor
taking
Jones.
over the whole program. You're only taking over part of the program.
So just for clarification, Chief Pryor Jones was a chief who had other responsibilities than just this office. So it wouldn't be taking over for her. She's moving into the role of of possibly half of her responsibilities into that role.
Okay, I see. So you're going to be doing part of the work.
Yeah, but she's the interim director of the office.
So she's not the chief, she's the
Through-
director.
Exactly.
Is that the best way to put it?
Through the chair to the councilman, that is correct. I'm not over aging. Aging is its own department, and they have their own director.
I see.
So-
So you're saying that prior, Mrs. Jones was over aging too at one point?
Yes.
Okay, I see.
Yeah.
All right, so then, Mr. Chairman, let me ask this question. For your programs, all the programs you have working out of there, because there's so many of them, how many programs you have?
Are you talking about expanded programs, or are you
We're
talking about
all
the
the
department?
programs that you yourself run that you're responsible for.
So the Office of Prevention, Intervention, and Opportunity has the Social Support Service Specialists.
Right.
It has
I-
expanded programs.
I guess I want to get to it, so I'm going to get. I've changed the questions, Mr. Chairman, to Mrs. Ellery. What is the number? Do you run 79 programs, 105 programs, 2 million programs? How many programs you run out of your office that you're responsible for? Like, we have all of these programs here. You don't seem like you understand what I'm saying. You have like 15 programs or 5 or 6 programs here. How many programs do you run out of your particular shop?
For expanded programs, we're having about 16 contracts.
So you run
So
16 contracts
16 programs for
out of your
expanded
shop.
programs.
16 out of
One
your
sec-
whole shop.
One second, Councilman Person. She's talking about just one part of her program. She may have other programs that are not just expanded programs. So, interim director, can you explain the programs you have from expanded programs and then possibly additional programs that you are offering, so he can understand exactly what you are doing in your department to the councilperson?
So the expanded programs, we have 23. Listed, all of them listed on page 3
I got that.
of this.
Check.
Okay. We also are responsible for youth employment, our contract with YOU.
So that's another one?
So that's another one.
Can you
That's
just
another
give me-
program.
So is it one program that has 25 other programs in it, or is just one?
One program that has 23 programs. in
Okay,
it.
so it's
one-
23.
One program that has 23 contracts.
So I don't want to get confused here, Mr. Chairman. So I tried to make it simplistic. So what I'm trying to ask Ms. Ellery is, if you, out of your shop as the director, as the interim director, how many programs you run out of your shop? So is there 2 programs, 102 programs, 23 programs, or 75 programs?
To the chair. In my office, Prevention, Intervention, and Opportunity, we have 7 areas of focus. We have many contracts. I guess I'm not clear about, under expanded programs, we have 23 programs that we run in the recreation centers and in other spaces, community spaces, like Karamu House. So, but also in the Office of Prevention, Intervention, and Opportunity, we have the Cleveland Thrive Grant. We have the Social Support Service Specialists. We have the Family Support Specialists. We have the Youth Employment Program.
Okay.
So, and can I help you assist
Please,
as well,
Mr.
Councilman?
Chairman, please.
To our staff and as well as to the director, can we get a list broke down of all the contracts that are coming through MPIO, as well as a breakdown of what detail or category it fall, or any bureau that it falls under your office, so we can get an understanding of what list you have, because you may have, to the councilman point, 70 different contracts, and just trying to figure out where do they fall at under your supervision, so he can be able to get a better breakdown and understanding of what it's doing. And I know right now we're talking about one part of your office, which is the expanded programs, but you also do have Youth Opportunities Unlimited. You also do have the Cleveland Thrive. You also have different things that are coming in your through your department and your office, so he can be able to have a better breakdown. And I did make that clear, so our staff may have it as well, to be able to get that request to you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Councilperson.
And to add on to that is knowing what those contracts numbers are. How much are we talking about? What's our overall expenditure out of your program for these type of programs to help our citizens. And then the next question would be an evaluation process. And that may be something where I may have to come and sit down and with you and really fundamentally understand that, since I'm new here on this committee. So I want to be able to really fundamentally understand how your department works. And I don't know that. I just know that often your department has come to this table with the previous chief, and there's been so many programs. And I've asked about those programs and getting a breakdown of those programs. And I got like a quick sheet, but it didn't give me much of information of anything. So what I would like to have is a thorough understanding of what you do and how well you serve our citizens. Sitting here at the end of this table here, every day I think about how I can serve my people, how I can serve the citizens, how I can serve my young folks. I know that we have the Frederick Douglass, Mr. Chairman, a recreational facility. And I would like to sit down with you to really fundamentally understand the programming and how we can bring the type of programming that used to exist when I was a kid, and how it took me and my peers off the street and started to do something positive with their time. And so understanding what programs work, and Mr. Chairman, I'll be straightforward, some programs may work better than others. So I think that sometimes when we're looking at these programs and understanding its evaluations, we want to be able to focus where we can get the biggest bang for our buck. And so often we might spread ourselves too thin, Mr. Chairman, to the director. But I won't know that unless I have a true sense of understanding of what you do. I tried to do that previously and it didn't happen. And so I would hope that, we can do that. I can understand how your programs work. I have a number of citizens, Mr. Chairman, especially young people, that really need a lot of services in my community. Our community is poor. It has been impacted in a super negative way, and we don't have nowhere near the same kind of activities of when I was a kid. And we didn't have a whole lot of what you're offering across the table. We just had a handful, but that handful was able to keep crime down in our neighborhood, and mischievous activity down in the neighborhood. And there was a moment in time, unfortunately, where we were furloughing all of these programs. And when we did that and we shut our recreational facilities down, Mr. Chairman, we saw the increase in crime in our streets. And it brought us all the way back here to the table to really fundamentally start dealing with that right here. And so I would like to understand that better. So I'd love to set up a time with you. Once you've given me the information that the chairman has requested and I have an opportunity to review, I don't want to waste your time and certainly don't want to waste my time. So once I've had the information, I can go through, I can home in on those things I really want to fundamentally talk about and see how we can add those programs in my neighborhood and how we can work together in partnership so that I can start pulling these young folks into something that's going to really hopefully make an impact and make a difference in our neighborhood. So, Mr. Chairman, thank you for the request of information.
Yep.
And if we can get the dollars for those programs and we can find out what neighborhoods they operate in, and then if you have a quick sheet evaluation on each of those programs and their efficiency and effectiveness, that would help me to determine and make a decision on what programs I would like to see in my community. Is that okay, Mrs. Ellery? Can you do that?
Through the chair to the councilman, I would be thrilled to sit down and explain to you our
I appreciate that. And, Mr.
goals.
Chairman, no further questions.
Thank you, and you got that, Eva Gould? All right. Councilwoman Deborah Gray?
Yeah, thank you, Chair, and thank you for coming, team. I just have a few comments and a couple questions pertaining to the All-Star, after-school All-Star program, which, Ms. Ellery, you already know that it was at Zamba George last year. And I be at Zamba George quite often, which anyone knows is right in my backyard. So that has always been a recreation center that I went to before I even came council. We had incorporated the after-school summer cooking program there. When Mr. Jameson, Director Jameson was there. We incorporated a cooking class for the adolescents, the teenagers, and senior citizens. That was a 4 program for all of them, and we had the extension program. She was from the OSU extension program. She was the chef. and she actually brought her food from her farm, fresh food. And she had the adolescents on a Tuesday, she had the teens on a Thursday, and she had the senior citizens on Saturday afternoon. And it worked fine. And I'm not sure, I know she left, I can't remember her name. She was good too. My God, everybody fell in love with her. On time, the kids did learn how to prepare food from their kitchen at home instead of eating processed food from all the fast foods. And they enjoyed the class immensely because I went to each one of them and stayed too and learned how to cook other stuff from my kitchen cabinets. And it was a success. And I know once she had COVID, she did not return because it was on a limit. Short string. Then we incorporated a young lady that did the cooking class for the kids. I cannot remember her name. I don't think the cooking class is still going on, but she stayed a couple years after that. She was like, it was after school. It was not during the winter. It was just during the after school during May and September. But it was a success, and everyone embraced that cooking class. And I was. Listen, we were proud of having that at Zelma George. And I know most of these Zelma George programs have always been successful. The few that I know that been there, it's a turnover, of course, and they stay for a long period of time, like the dance class or the Zumba class we had and the exercise class. But the exercise classes are still going on with the senior citizens, and that is a big hit. And the senior citizen, they have their own performance there. They have their cooking, they do their cooking, their Zumba classes, their exercise classes. So that is strong there at Zelma George. But to say the least about the All-Star class that was there last year, now by me spending a lot of time there, chair to the team, I spent a lot of time at Zelma George. But I don't know if I brought it to your attention, or maybe I did bring it to your attention when the staff and the director and the manager, who I'm very close with, and I didn't know that the All-Star after-school program was there. But they brought it to my attention by me spending so much time there, because you had it's the social service guy, what's his name, that used to be there. Do you still have that program there, where they talk to the kids privately?
Yes,
Is he,
through the chair,
because
yes.
he left and another one came, right?
Yes,
Now that is
Stephen
a-
Woodard is there now.
Okay, so
through the
yeah,
chair.
and that's a strong advocate there, that they really engage with the kids when they have those social problems. But unfortunately, I brought this to your attention because the staff and the manager brought this to my attention when they said, Councilwoman Gray, there's no one in that class. And I didn't know the class was there. But they explained to me that this after-school All-Star class was there during a certain time. And they said, Councilwoman Gray, there's no one be in the class. And we bringing it to your attention because we know you always up here. And you can talk to the person at City Hall and let them know there's no one in the class. I didn't know to know. So when they told me that, I went into the room, and there was nobody in the class at the time that is supposed to have been scheduled. Now, the people who worked there for it, they were at the table, but there was no one in the room. Then they said, Councilwoman Gray, come back at certain times and just walk in here, and you will see no kids are in the class. And they said that the kids do come, they come and sign up. They don't stay long enough for them to teach them anything, and they are not privileged to stay. To say the least, that the kid can come in and stay for an hour, that is not productive enough for the class to be existent if the class is there to teach these kids to be more attentive so they can know the class is there for them for that time frame. And they shouldn't be in the class. They shouldn't go in 15 minutes and then leave out. If that class is initiated for 3 hours, that kid should be there, like I said, maybe for an hour, like you said, the parent need to pick them up, because after school per se. But I'm saying that I spend more than enough time at Zama George, not because I'm the counselor, because I like being there, and I was there before I came counselor. That is a very busy rec center in that particular area, the most busy rec center of all the rec centers that I had, which I have Hamilton and I had Woodland, but now that's part of Ward 6 now, and we know how busy that rec center is, and kids is there kids are there from the time it's open. Now the kids come after school, but there's time they open, singers there, people come and go, people stay, you got the skating rink, so I know how busy it is. And I have my community classes, I have my community meetings there too. However, this particular class, and I did come periodically from time to time just to see was there anybody in this class, and that's when I brought it to your attention. It wasn't active enough. And not saying that it wasn't a good program, but I'm saying that from what I viewed last year, it wasn't active enough for the kids to have that much interest to stay long enough. Not saying it's not a good program, but it didn't give the attention span for the kids who did come should have wanted to stay from what the representatives who supposed to been teaching something. Maybe it was the wrong representative. Maybe the representatives didn't have that to entertain the kids to want to stay to learn. Maybe they wasn't the right fit to engage to be suitable to run the program, so the kids would want to stay, and also didn't know how to attract other kids to come in during that time frame to want to be there, even to sit and listen to see if it fit their personality of interest. So I'm saying this, and the staff and the manager, they like the program being there. But when they told me that there's no one never there, and then the kids did come, they didn't stay long enough to have interest even to stay. So I'm just giving you from the truth of what I've seen, and with no hearsay. They brought it to my attention, asked me to come back over and over again because it was a waste of time for the program to be there. Not to say it wasn't effective enough, but you need to reexamine. This program needs to be reexamined, because if you're going to continue to fund it, you need to get the right people who have that ability and that passion to take the time to assert themselves, to get the kids' interest of who have these problems or who have these certain problems that they need to open up or want to learn something. So I'm not saying that the program is not the right program. It's at Zama George, we want as many programs at every rec center as possible. Believe you me, I'm all for that, because I advocate for more programs to be at both centers, especially Hamilton. Hamilton's right now, we're trying to figure out what more we can bring to Hamilton, because sometimes Zama George is overpacked. They overpacked. They can't even get any more programs on the list, and people want to be there because of the flux of the residents constantly in and out that particular rack. more so than gearing them to Hamilton, which I tried to give them to Hamilton, because we want Hamilton to be busy as well, you know, with that overflow. But I'm just giving you that, this truth word of mouth. This program, if you're going to continue this program, it needs to be reexamined. You need to get the right folks who want to initiate this program, who have the ability to be assertive, who has the ability to get up out that room instead of sitting in that room, because that's what they did.
Yeah.
Because I went in the room and talked and I spoke with them. You know, I did not, I just wanted to know what was going on, what was happening, and they said that they did have kids, but the kids left. That wasn't, that wasn't acceptable, because you are the people in this room supposed to be out of this room and get these kids that's coming to this rack to get more kids. I don't care if those kids was not on the list like you said. If those kids left who was on the list, get up out that room and assert yourself through that rec center and get other kids to come into that room and just listen to see what they're doing, and it's an opportunity for other kids who want to come in to learn something.
Right.
You just don't sit and get paid for something because the kids don't show up in 3 hours. So that was the concern of the staff, because they want that. They said it's a good program, Councilwoman, but no one's never in it. Okay, so I'm just letting you know, and I brought it to your attention.
Yes.
So you're bringing it back to Zama George. You need to reexamine the people who you have going to be in that room for this class. So I understand Councilwoman's concerns and the concerns that she brought up, not knowing that that rec center is not in her ward, but her concerns were truth to fact, because I seen it and I be in that rec center majority of the time, because it's in my backyard.
Yeah.
So I'm letting you know that is true. So if you're going to bring it back to Zama George, you need to reexamine the folks that's going to be over this program at Zama George, and get folks who are going to be attentive, who's going to be active, who's going to be assertive, that's going to be assertive enough where the kids be interested in them while they are facilitating the information to them, and not just being there 15 minutes and leaving. But if you have no kids, get up and go get the kids that's in their rack and facilitate the information to see what other kids would like to come in, and just sit for a while to see what they're doing and learning, and what they want to give them to help them with something if they're not even aware. So that's what that's it. I yield on that, Council Chair.
Through the chair to Councilwoman Gray, I remember that incident, and we did call After School All-Stars, and I believe that after you made those comments, they did make some changes to the instructor there, and so Marlena Dozier is willing to try this program again this summer, and we will watch it very closely, and if it's not working there, we'll just pull it, and we don't want to waste money, and we don't want to waste time and tie up a room if kids are not going to show up or not participate. So we will watch that program very closely and make adjustments as we need to. But I believe that they did change the instructor.
They did, okay.
Midway through that, after you raised those issues with me. And so they're very responsive.
Okay, all right. Because, like I said, if you need to have someone to oversee the program, make sure they're doing their due diligence, helping the kids with this program. It's not necessarily need to be pulled. It probably have to be recreated, and get someone that has the passion and the depth, who wants to spend that time with different ages of individuals who need this. We need this type of social connection in our community, as my colleague Jones stated. What we have lost with our children, but our children don't have a connection with the connection of folks who's in these positions because they don't feel it. It's a feeling now for the kids because they're dealing with a lot of emotional stress in their lives and they can't even figure it out. But if you got here to say that, if you have here to say that after school starts for the purpose of providing after school youth enrichment activities per se, what type of activities that you're going to provide for the youth to find their interest, to find their interest of they want to be part of the program. It's not an interest of what someone else stated that this is what we're going to do. These kids may not be interested in that.
Right.
We need to find the interest of what the kids. Also, you can extend it and add it on there, not to eliminate the purpose of the program, but also when the kids come in to, to see what their interest is, to add on to what the purpose is for them to have the attention or to want to stay, want to stay there because they tapped into something they are dealing with,
Right.
if that's the purpose. You know what I'm saying? Because our kids going through so many other stuff. We can't figure out other folks' kids. We can't. But we know they're dealing with something, and if they are willing to come into that room, don't talk about what you're doing in the program. Talk about what's going on with them, and then you can reroute what you're doing and what they are feeling if you want to continue funding this program. Because I'm tell you something, I am about the kids too. And I think we all are. We all about the kids, but we
Exactly.
want to try to figure out other folks' kids on how we can help other folks' kids that we don't know what's going on in their household. But we need to get these kids in these programs so we can help them in any type of capacity. So if we got to make adjustment to a program to get these kids into this program, let's try to consider that and get the right folk in these programs who want to do it and not just getting paid.
Through the chair to
Bottom line.
Councilwoman Gray, thank you
welcome.
very much
Thank
for
you,
that
Chair.
feedback, and we will act on it.
Yes, I definitely see a lot of the committee members have great pointed questions regarding this ordinance. So definitely some of the thoughts I definitely would at least want to ask to the director with these different pieces of legislation for expanded programs. With the vote here today, if one does not pass, what happens with the actual funding for these programs to the director? So what do you do with the program dollars if it does not pass through council?
Through the chair, we will go back and look at other programs and replace it.
All right, with, clerk, could you call a roll on 354, 2026? 354-26? No.
No.
Can I say table? Do I say yes or no? Okay, we're going, I recuse, because I want to try it again. I recuse.
Can we have a, Mr. Chairman, point of information before we continue with the vote?
Yeah.
Or are we just taking a vote? Can we have a discussion at some point?
There's 7 of us here. They want to recuse all?
1, 2. Yes.
I'll recuse as well. No, I can't recuse. That's not even, that's not an option. I'll vote. Abstain. No. You can't abstain. You need to abstain.
Mr. Chairman, can I make some comments
After the vote.
after the vote? I'm going to vote no. But I would like to make comments, and it's at the privy of the chair. I usually don't go against the chair.
Thank you. And just to point out, I will call on Councilman Joe Jones.
Mr. Chairman, I would, because I don't know much about the program, that's the reason why I wanted to sit with Mrs. Ellery and understand her programs a little bit better. We've approved a lot of stuff across this table. The testimony of Deborah Gray, I'm here talking about how it has been ineffective, was enough for me to say no. And also, I always go with the chairman of the committee whenever there's a vote of no. To show our consolidation as a group on this. But Mr. Chairman, I would be open to understand if it was effective, like as I asked earlier about the programs, and I was trying to get to how many programs, and it would seem difficult. Don't want to have a difficult time when I ask questions about how many programs you're running out of your office and your shop. When I saw that difficulty in terms of getting a direct answer, and if it's Mr. Chairman, if it's one of those situations where it's really complicated, you can just say that. Then that way I can understand that you have different breakdowns or sections of it, but just having the conversation with you proved to be difficult for me for what I felt was a simplistic question that I asked you, how many programs you offer, how much are those programs for, what neighborhoods do they serve our community? That's important. Deborah Gray is in the southeast section of the city of Cleveland, and her recreational facility is not far from me. My citizens go to her recreational facility. For her to give that damning testimony gave me a sure say no, in process in part because I don't know more about your program. So when you do bring your programs here and you really want those programs to work, it would also help to have an assessments of those programs and why they're so good, who's saying it's good, and how effective it is. And one of the things, Mr. Chairman, that I've learned in past previous meetings and community forums with your prior chief, they didn't have a real good assessment process. And when I started asking questions in community formats and forums, I couldn't get any answers. So it's like, how do I know that this is really working for our community? So with that, Mr. Chairman, if we can get more information, and if you want to bring this back again to the council, I don't have a problem with being supportive of the program if you can tell me how that program is going to have an impact and help the citizens of my neighborhood.
Thank you, Councilman Joe Jones, for your comments regarding this.
To the chair, would we be able to bring this program back to you with these additional pieces of information? Because this is a very successful program at Fairfax Recreation Center. And I think if you talk to Council President, he would agree with that assessment. I would like to come back to the table with the people from After School All-Stars and have them talk to you about their program and the selection of their instructors so that we could maybe reconsider this particular one.
I think through the legislative process, we had to reorganize or restructure what we're talking about. If you were to want to bring back this program, it will have to be some differences between what you currently presented. The vote was taken within the Workforce Committee to discuss some of these things. I think from the standpoint of what most colleagues at this committee were talking about, it's an actual what is the return on investment on the dollars that we're getting to a program. Where you talk about close to $900,000 of programming dollars into out-of-school expanded programs, the importance is to make sure we are getting the participation, the actual wellness, the actual leadership, in conjunction of ensuring that we have that partnership and collaboration with the recreational staff. So if there's some other discussion we would like to have offline on what possibly can help get committee members in this committee to support the initiative, we could definitely discuss offline, just to make sure we're getting the best return on our investment in dollars. And Councilwoman Stephanie Osborne?
Yeah, and go ahead, Councilman.
Councilman Harsh?
Yeah, Mr. Chair, just for the those following along at home for the civics lesson for today, this committee votes to recommend or not recommend. We don't vote up or down to pass or deny the passage of ordinances. So if the chairman wanted to relieve this to finance, it would go right now without recommendation from this committee for passage, but it would still be eligible for a full vote of the council. I just wanted to clarify the role of this committee in terms of the ordinance itself.
Yep.
And it works both ways. Because this is one of the things that I don't want to have be an issue in years past, is that to not really, the point of going through the committee process, Mr. Chairman, is to make sure we're vetting every piece of legislation. And I've seen in years past where you didn't want to handle the issue and you sent it to finance so it could be passed off. If it dies in the committee, it dies in the committee. That's just the way it is. So I just want to make sure that's a part of our council rules. And you as the chairman, now the only other person that could probably pull it out would be the leadership for whatever reasons. But at the end of the day, when I saw legislation in years past, and I've been sitting here at this table for over 17 years, and I've saw some doozies. And so what I will share with you is that there's been, once it's killed in committee, it's dead unless it goes back by the chairman. It just all depends on who the leadership is. But our council rule says all of these processes go through the committees. Now, I'm not a person who, Mr. Chairman, would have a problem with it going to the Finance Committee, but it's supposed to be vetted through these processes. And that's the way it works. It works that way in Congress. It works that way in other legislative bodies that have their own rules.
Thank you, Councilman Jones. Councilwoman Stephanie House Jones?
I think it's 2 points. This is part of the reason why this body actually needs to look at our rules. But similarly, it is what Councilman Harsh said, because I've brought this up several times about when a committee recommends or lacks, we only give recommendations. We actually don't vote on the legislation. Legislation will actually go before the entire bit.
Monday.
Council on Monday nights too. That's when you actually vote on it. But with that being stated, that's why I think we need to look at our rules, and I do think we need to examine it. But as it relates to this piece of legislation in and of itself, the reason why I voted not to recommend it is because based on, if we're looking at 8 programs, this one program is more than 25% of the dollars for the multitude of things. And even with some of the new programming that's coming up, I know that even though they don't operate in my community, I know the Beat the Streets one, I know that's a good program. Like, you see what I'm saying? Like, it ain't no question. I know the work that they do. I was at the National League of Cities, and somebody was talking about their program when they brought the professional wrestling of the NCAA. So, like I said, when you know good programs, you know it. And I think it is very troubling that you have one of the council members that talks about a program that's getting at least the limited investment that we have, and no one is there. And that's the reason why I said we absolutely need the disaggregated data. We need to know for this program, how many times did people actually go to this program? And I'm gonna say that. I'm gonna say less.
And Mr. Chairman, on the point, the council lady brings up a good point. I've said here, I've even seen legislation by chairman not even brought to the table and killed, and wasn't even brought, with no presentations. So making sure that we understand what those rules are going to be important. I will look into it.
Thank you. Orders number 355, 2026, an emergency ordinance authorizing Director of Finance on behalf of the Mayor's Office of Prevention, Intervention, and Opportunity to enter into one or more contracts with Art House, Inc. for the purpose of providing art lessons and activities with artists for youth and young adults, under the city's out-of-school time program for a period of 1 year with 2 one-year options to renew, exercisable by the Director of Finance. Director, can you talk about orders number 355 a little bit? Okay. You got any questions to the committee about the Art House, Inc.? Councilman Harsh?
Mr. Chair, Art House is on Dennison Avenue in the Brooklyn Center neighborhood. I've been familiar with their work for a long time. They are wonderful folks. They are right across the street from Denison Elementary, where a bunch of kids walk right across the street after school to participate in those programs. They're well attended, they're well run, and they're an absolute asset to the neighborhood. That's all.
Yep. Any other council member? Seeing no other questions, ordinance number 355, 2026 passes. Ordinance number 356, 2026, an emergency ordinance authorizing Director of Finance on behalf of the Mayor's Office of Prevention, Intervention, and Opportunity to enter into one or more contracts with Beat the Streets Cleveland for the purpose of providing after-school programming involving structured physical activity and social-emotional learning to promote fitness, discipline, and healthy lifestyle habits for youth and young adults under the city's out-of-school time program for a period of 1 year with 2 one-year options to renew, exercisable by the Director of Finance. Beat the Streets is here at the table. You've been here for a minute. Anything you would like to say about this program?
My name is Anthony Spooner. I'm head of mentoring and coaching, and actually, from listening to the things that were brought up with the All-Stars, I was fulfilled in knowing that we've addressed many of those issues, and the adults matter, and the kids want to be there because you're there. And Beat the Streets truly emphasizes that the relationships we have with the kids come first. And the wrestling is, I joke, is the sprinkles. If I can get them on a mat, that's the things that happen before that is the true story. What happens on the mat is just fun. And we saw that this last weekend. I had a kid from John Marshall who informed me that he just recently has a 2-month-old. He's only a sophomore at John Marshall, and he wrestled in styles he was unfamiliar with and on a trip that he's never done before. And first match, he wanted to fight his opponent. Second match, he wanted to fight the ref. Third match, he wanted to fight the coach. And by the fourth match, he grabbed me. And if you didn't know the relationship, you wouldn't know why I wasn't worried, because he told me I just wanted to do something for this team, and he's holding me like he's trying to say, let's go. But it was a powerful moment, because the next match he won, and he grabbed me with tears of joy. And he returned home to his young one, I'm sure, motivated. And so I kind of joked that we kind of give these kids a beginning, a middle, and a start. And when we can do that, everything starts to grow. And right now, our major issue is growth, is the rate of growth, and keeping up with it and being able to provide what we know these kids need at another scale and at another scale. So I'm truly excited about the opportunity right down the street from within Slavic Village with Stella Walsh, and being able to extend those services amongst the summers. So I hope we continue to have the opportunity to be great for the community and honestly for the families.
Yes, just clarification, Beat the Streets was in the old Ward 5. Now it's in the Great Ward, the Ward Great, Ward 3. Is it 2? No, Beat the Streets right across the street from the Boys and Girls Club. Yeah, I got you. I definitely will call Councilman Shaw.
Thank you, Chair. I wanted to understand which are the 2 sites it's going to be at? To the director or the coach?
Stella Walsh, through the chair, to Councilman, it's Stella Walsh and Glenville.
Okay. Appreciate that. And I wanted to just give a quick shout out. Coach, I don't know if you remember, but a couple years ago I was a guest coach along with Russell Hauser. I'm a former wrestler, so I'm really happy with the progress, and I've only heard great things, and wish you well. So thank you.
Thank you. Any other? See if there's no other questions. Ordinance number 356, 2026 stands approved. Ordinance number 357, 2026 an emergency ordinance authorizing the Director of Finance on behalf of the Mayor's Office of Prevention Intervention Opportunity to enter into one or more contracts with the Center for Arts Inspired Learning for the purpose of providing music lessons to youth in grades 3 to 12 under the city's out-of-school time program for a period of 1 year with 2 one-year options to renew, exercisable by the Director of Finance. Any questions of the committee? Seeing there's no questions by the committee, ordinance number 357, 2026 stands approved. Ordinance number 358-2026, an emergency ordinance authorizing the Director of Finance on behalf of the Mayor's Office of Prevention, Intervention, and Opportunity to enter into one or more contracts with Holden Forests and Gardens for the purpose of providing hands-on STEM-based educational experience under the city's out-of-school time program for a period of 1 year with 2 one-year options to renew, exercisable by the Director of Finance. Any questions to the committee? Ordinance number, seeing there's no question, ordinance number 358-2026 stands approved. Ordinance number 360-2026, an emergency ordinance authorizing Director of Finance on behalf of the Mayor's Office of Prevention, Intervention, and Opportunity to enter into one or more contracts with Kent State University for the purpose of providing various hands-on workshops for youth engagement under the city's out-of-school time program for a period of 1 year with 2 one-year options to renew, exercisable by the Director of Finance. Seeing that we had the presentation on ordinance number 360 already, any questions by the committee? Seeing there's no questions, ordinance number 360-2026 stands approved. Please sign. Ordinance number 361-2026 by Councilmember Griffin, by departmental request, an emergency ordinance authorizing the Director of Finance on behalf of the Mayor's Office of Prevention, Intervention, and Opportunity to enter into one or more contracts with Making a Difference Consulting, LLC, for the purpose of providing an 8-week long summer program focused on well-being and college career readiness for youth in the ranges of 11 to 17 years under the city's out-of-school time program for a period of 1 year with 2 one-year options to renew, exercisable by the Director of Finance.
Councilman Stark, can I speak about our program, please?
Yes, you can.
Hi, I'm Angela Flowers with Making a Difference Consulting. We are excited to operate in the Ward 5 Central community and then also the Glenville community. And so just in regards to some of the questions that were proposed prior to, our organization has done a little bit of due diligence and did a needs assessment with our young people in the community. We found out what programs they wanted in regards to offerings, and then we also have hired ambassadors to go out and help with recruitment. Our programs are evaluated through Cleveland State and Case Western Reserve University, so we have program data. We've been in operation for 19 years. In terms of CMSD, we've gone into the lunch times already and recruited. We currently have 125 young people that have signed up for summer programming already in Ward 5. We've also gone to both councilmen's meetings to present information in regards to summer programming. We've knocked on doors, door to door with door hangers for our programs with our QR code to scan. And then we also, twice a week, our ambassadors at Lonnie Burton go with us into the community to actually do hands-on learning so that the kids can experience the program already to know that it's something they want to be a part of. And so I'm excited because we're offering career pathways where our scholars that are middle school and up will receive hands-on training in regards to cosmetology. They're going to get a boutique license. We have rented a space downtown on 13th Street for an actual salon location. We also we have to go through the process for our store, but the kids are going to be doing workforce development in terms of entrepreneurship. They're going to learn how to operate a business, to create their own T-shirts, mugs, and things to sell, and they get the money back in return for themselves as well. In regards to social and emotional learning, our Better Choices program is based on managing anger and emotions and feelings and trauma. My clinicians are all licensed social workers and counselors that are going to be providing that type of engagement in the recreation centers. For our Divas program, which is the girl program that stands for Demonstrating Inner Value, Acceptance, and Self-Worth, that has operated in CMSD schools in 27 sites over the last 10 years. We also have operated the Boys to Men program as well, which is a component of it, which is based on social and emotional learning strategies. And we have an academic portion for this particular summer program, which will reinforce literacy, because we know the literacy rates in the community are low. We have literacy-based things embedded into every program. So our staff and team members are already intervention specialists within different school districts, but then we also have some trained tutors that are going to be doing math enforcement, STEM enforcement, in addition to the literacy, so that they can gain those particular skills that they need. And so in Central Community in particular, we have raised additional dollars for this program, which have been $300,000 for this particular program. And what it is allowing us to do is expand the opportunity, not just at the recreation center, where we've been delivering some free programming at Lonnie Burton in regards to the rec manager. He said that he has never seen his kids so engaged and stayed for programming, and they were not forced to be there. And so we are taking them on some college tours and doing some civic engagement. So the students are learning about photography and videography. They're capturing the assets in the community to do a video documentary. And I invite everyone to come out for the culminating event. And then they also are going to the State House to learn about civic engagement and the power of their voice and vote. And we have some college tours that are already lined up for the scholars, in addition to just programming that's going to be offered in general. And so I'm excited to be here just because of the work that we've been doing in the community. We're in a lot of your wards already, but within the schools and embedded during the lunch period and after school. And so I'm just excited because our work is youth-centered, and we believe their voices are so important to actually getting the word out, but making sure that we're not saying it's a great program on paper. We're letting the young people say it in general, and they actually come back and try to work for the organization too, which is a highlight of what we do.
That is a great, great short explanation of what's going on in Ward 5. But one of the most important things that you may want to hear is the recruitment. I've had 2 Ward 5 community meetings, and we've had great, deep conversations. Some of the things that we're looking to do is expand in Ward 5, creating a year-long program for our children, so understanding what is being offered, the frequencies, where they are located at, which department, which rec centers, including Friendly Inn, both our rec centers, Boys and Girls Club, as well as Sisters of Charity, coming together and say what we're doing at Tri-C, to be able to say this is what we have to offer, this is what's going on during the spring, the summer, the fall, the winter, and roll it out. So we're trying something differently, but most importantly, we're making sure the services and the programs and opportunities are presented on each and every level for everyone to understand. So that is something that is very important to get the buy-in and the participation. As like you said, Rec Center Mike Powers is not easy to get along with. And what I mean by that is if it don't make sense for the kids, he's going to stand firm and work with it unless it makes sense. So that is something great that I urge my colleagues. Seeing there's any more questions, ordinance number 361-2026 stands approved. Sign. Ordinance number 362-2026 by Councilmember Griffin by departmental request, an emergency ordinance authorizing the Director of Finance on behalf of the Mayor's Office Prevention, Intervention, and Opportunity to enter into one or more contracts with Eleanor B. Rainey Memorial Institute for the purpose of providing various arts, education, and enrichment activities under the city's out-of-school time program for a period of 1 year with 2 one-year options to renew, exercisable by the Director of Finance. Any questions of the committee members? Seeing there's no questions, ordinance number 362-2026 stands approved. Please sign. And regarding ordinance number 354-2026, we definitely hold this, and I would like to make sure we get some information that was requested from when we discussed this, so we can talk about it, as well as figure out what we can definitely do with this ordinance. Workforce Education, Training, Youth Development Committee is over to the next call of the chair.